Today in Brompton Maintenance, we're going to look at the headset. Step 1. Loosen the steering bearing lock nut one turn. After you've done that, fold over the handlebars. This gives you access to the expander cone bolt. Once you've broken this bolt loose, turn it 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, tap that bolt down, and that will break it loose. Pull the handlebar free from the frame. Be careful of the cables. Set that aside carefully so you don't have to disconnect the cables. Step 5 is remove the steering lock nut. Step 6 is to remove the washer below that lock nut. Take note that this washer has a little tooth on it. That tooth is meant to fit in a groove. Step 7 is to remove the bearing race. Now you can free the fork from the frame. And again, be careful of the cables so you don't have to disconnect the brake cable. You can set that fork aside. Step 9, remove the old bearings. There's your bearing cup. Now we're removing the old seal, and the old fixed bearing is also getting removed. Tap that off with a screwdriver or some other device. This is how they fit together. The fixed bearing and that seal look just like this. See what goes on. That's what it looks like from the bottom and from the top. And I've been carefully laying out the old things in order there. Here is the new steel headset, and there's the new steel headset laid out in the same order. You can see it's got extra parts on it that I haven't taken off. I have not taken off the bearing cups from the frame. They look in good shape, so I'm going to leave them on and just put on the new bearings and associated washers instead. So my next step, putting things back together now. Put on the new fixed bearing, tap that down all the way onto the fork. Now put on the new seal. Now we've got our new bearings. They fit into the bearing cups just like so. I'm going to use some synthetic grease on these. Put grease in the bearing cups and make sure to pack grease into the bearings themselves. This involves pushing the grease or forcing the grease all the way through the bearing so you see it ooze out the other side. Now I'll install the bearings onto the bike. First we'll do the fork, and then install the fork onto the frame. Put the top bearing on, and the bearing race goes on top of that. And we'll hand tighten this down, and we'll give it a few turns with a mega wrench here. Now we don't want to tighten it down too much. We're going to check how loose it is. We want to tighten it all the way till it starts to feel tight as far as the turning of the wheel, and then back it off just a little bit. Step 16 is to install the washer. Make sure you get the tooth in the groove. Step 17 is to install the steering bearing lock nut. Ideally, you'd have 2 large skinny wrenches that would allow you to crank down this top lock nut without turning the below racer bearing. You can make it work the way I'm doing it, but it will take a little bit of work. install the handlebar stem. This should slide right back in. Brilliant design by Brompton. The easiest way to align your handlebars in your front wheel is to place it into the folded position and then tighten this expander cone nut. Tighten this down as tight as you can get it, basically. Then take it for a test ride. Everything looks good. The alignment looks good. Keep on riding.